Sup dudes, it's Snail. As you might know, we recently got the Anniversary Edition update for Fallout 4. This includes the addition of verified creations, which are paid mods. However, there's been a lot of apprehension over paid mods, as there usually is, and I completely understand. A lot of it is concerns with cost, others are concerns with how it might shape the modding community moving forward. So that's why I bought the Anniversary Edition upgrade, and I also bought every verified creation live on stream. I'm spending my money, so you don't have to spend yours. So first and foremost, Bedlam is a verified creation that costs 500 creation credits or $5 USD. It's a fully featured dungeon randomizer that makes the game so much harder. Like, you're gonna be fighting for your fucking life. This is a pretty good creation if raising the difficulty of the game is your sort of thing. To be specific, the mod adds roaming enemies who wander the wasteland looking for smoke, extra enemies who increase the risks of engagement while also greatly increasing the reward for survival, enemy pets that'll accompany the enemies you encounter all over the Commonwealth, and personal bodyguards whose sole purpose for existence is to destroy you if you get too close to their boss. That's not all though, there's also a reinforcement system that punishes you for taking too long in combat. See, enemies will call in backup to the dungeon if you take your sweet time, so you're going to have to be efficient. Plus, there's always the off chance that a second faction spawns in when you're fighting and the encounter becomes a game of King of the Hill. Additionally, all these features are fully configurable from within the game using a menu item that you can craft at the chem bench, and you can also set presets as to how you want this to play out. Do you want things to be harder, or do you want them to be more balanced? You get to decide all of this. There were multiple moments where I got my shit absolutely rocked by reinforcements, and being rudely interrupted by a second faction made combat feel so much more dynamic than I'm used to. Is it worth your money? Now, it's worth it to me because it bundles the functions of several other mods into one neat package without needing half a dozen patches for them all to work together. It's also probably worth it to you for the same reason if you want a wildly transformed combat experience. Is there a free alternative? Well, there isn't one that does exactly what this does, but you may want to look at NPC's travel and a mod called Reinforcements and Retribution. Even then, you're still just playing a light version of Bedlam at best. But either way, free or paid, you're gonna need weapons, right? Well, there's a few weapons you can pick in the creations menu right now, starting with this sexy Wattz 1000 laser pistol. This is the classic weaponry Wattz 1000 from Painter 2099, and it costs 400 credits or $4 USD. It's a weapon we've already seen before in a couple different mods at this point, since it's a classic Fallout weapon. Gecko in a Can actually has a Wattz 1000 bundled with the Sidearms of the Wasteland that we saw back in October. However, what the Sidearms of the Wasteland version doesn't have is the extremely sharp model. It has a completely custom reload animation. There's an ammo counter in the form of a battery display on the rear of the pistol. Its holster and unholster animations are some of the cleanest I've ever seen. It's also got extensive customization. Not just that, but it's also just a really good laser pistol, even functionally speaking. So, question, is it worth the money? Well, I'm not gonna lie, 400 credits is pretty damn steep. I want to be clear, this weapon is worth paying for, don't get me wrong, let's get that out there right now. I would 100% hands down recommend everyone pick this up if it were like 200 credits instead. However, the fact that it doesn't come with any sort of quest or lore to implement it, and it's the only weapon that it implements, and it'll eventually get outclassed by some other weapon in your playthrough, yep, I'm dead, means that its impact is mildly limited, and it doesn't functionally give us anything that the free options don't. I gotta go crank the old musket real quick, if you know what I mean. This is the Plasma Musket, made by Elexirator. That's the same guy who brought us bangers in the past, like the pump-action Fat Man from the China Lake grenade launcher that we saw a few months back. This was strictly for review purposes, so like what I'm doing here, and to give him some feedback. So in turn, I invited him to join me on livestream while I cranked his musket real nice and hard.
So, yeah, good job, you and Dak.
Fuck.
How did you fucking die?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Stop laughing, what the fuck? It's not that funny. Overall, the weapon is equal parts beautiful and novel, and it draws inspiration from Fallout 3's plasma gun concept art by Adam Adamovich. Of course, it also contains the rotary musket crank, and the ability to fire off 3 plasma rounds at once is frankly fucking busted. But like I always say, guys, balance can get fucked, so who cares? This weapon is fully integrated with the same things that you'd expect from the laser musket, except it definitely feels more powerful. It's also aesthetically distinct, being custom modeled and meshed to be a completely new weapon. Of all the creations weapons, this was probably the one that I used the most frequently, and that's mainly because it was just so much fun to use. Plus, remember how I mentioned Adam Adamovich? Alex actually pays tribute to the concept artist with the Plasma Musket Legendary, the Adamovich Special.
Yeah, projectiles are now a Tesla beam that creates a small explosion where it impacts. And it's also purple.
Fucking crazy.
Oh, it's so fun, dude.
I gotta be honest though, the purple makes this thing look like kind of a sex toy.
Oh, damn, really?
I had to get that out. I'm sorry. It looks like a fucking dildo,
dude, no,
Alex. Jokes aside though, this is a beautiful tribute to Adam, who died of complications with his lung cancer in 2012. Adam's original design was never implemented in Fallout 3, unfortunately, but hopefully this legendary helps his legacy stay alive with the fan base. Blow this guy's head off. Keep in mind, this isn't the final version of the Plasma Musket creation. This is still an early access review version, but even in early access, this is looking very promising. Plus, when it comes out, you'll be able to purchase it for 100 credits or $1 USD. That is very much worth it for this weapon. It's a good deal. I think you should take it. Thanks again for joining me, Alex. I hope to have you back on stream real soon.
I'm guessing you're responding to one of our flyers calling for new bounty hunters. Before you head out, make sure you grab your new weapon and gear. Anything that gives you an edge during a bounty mission, you should take it.
Become a Bounty Hunter is a creation available for 600 credits or $6 USD, and it adds the Gyrojet pistol, a Gyrojet unique pistol, a sweet as hell Bounty Hunter duster that's beautifully made, a new dungeon, and a player home featuring a quest that is fully voiced and has custom immersive animations for interacting with it. The main quest involves you taking on the role of a bounty hunter and hunting down bounty targets. In order to start, go to Diamond City and pick the bounty poster off the wall of the church, then make your way to the speakeasy and speak to the bounty hunter who stops you when you walk in there. This eventually culminates in a final boss for the quest, but after this you also get access to a bunch of radiant quests that keep you in the money for your new bounty hunting career. But that's not everything. Oh no. It also adds a bounty system, so that if you're ever seen killing a friendly NPC, you'll have to ward off bounty hunters for the next 3 days, or pay your bounty off by completing a bounty yourself. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting to be so captivated by this creation, but I really am. It just feels basically vanilla. It doesn't even feel vanilla plus. It feels like it's part of the natural game. So is Bounty Hunter worth your money? Yeah, I know $6 is quite steep, but consider that the alternatives are spread far apart and some of these things simply don't have alternatives, period. I think $6 is a fair price for the amount of content that you get. It's not a steal, but it's definitely fair. Obviously, looting is a massive part of Fallout 4, but it's easy to miss things and sometimes you just don't really feel like looting, period. Shade's mini handy bot is there to help you loot, and that's not all it does either. For 200 credits or $2 USD, this little iBot is going to follow you around as you adventure, and it's going to pick up loot, tag enemies, scan collectibles like magazines and bobbleheads, and it'll even autopilot your power armor for you. It also does not take a companion slot, so you're more than welcome to bring your favorite companion along for the ride. Now granted, it doesn't do all of this off rip, you still need to configure the bot. You can find it at the workbench at Red Rocket Truck Stop, collect the note, holotape in the bot, and the bot will turn on and start following you around. If you want to upgrade the bot, you need to activate its menu, shut it down, take it to a weapons workbench where you can configure all the additional add-ons like the enemy highlighting, unlooted container scanning, and the power armor autopilot. This is all configurable from the holotape in your inventory as well, so if you wanted to look for a specific kind of item, you can set it in the holotape and it'll look for those specific items. This is a really handy bot. It just sort of flies around and collects loot for you, and those items get added to your inventory automatically, so there's no need to go and do any trades with it. Some people might consider this item a bit of a cheat item, but if you think one or two of the modules feels like cheating, you can just turn that module off. Is Shade's handy mini-bot worth it? Yeah, I think so. $2 is a fair price for so many cool features on an unintrusive, helpful little bot that makes looting areas and finding collectibles so much easier. Oh right, also, none of this affects the Lone Wanderer perk, by the way. Just like Livelier Perks. Livelier Perks is a complete and total perk overhaul for Fallout 4, and it costs 600 credits or $6 US. So there's a handy chart you can reference in the description that shows all of the perks with Livelier Perks installed, but I'll go over them anyways with a bit of a light brush. Weapon-centric perks like Gunslinger have been changed so that instead of giving you a flat 20% damage increase on the first level, you're instead given a 1% increase to your damage per player level on Tier 1. Higher levels often bring an extra extra benefit aside from damage, like letting you move 10% faster when you have a pistol drawn on level 2. However, there's also perks like Brute Force, which increases your gun bashing and your melee damage by 2% per strength point, meaning that this perk overhaul finally makes your special attributes matter. Of course, there's also Locksmith and Hacker, which have been overhauled so that every level of the perk means that you can automatically lockpick and hack terminals that are one level lower. There's also a host of new perks like Gadgeteer that lets you craft deployable turrets, although I didn't get to play with it, or Fury Stacks that lets you generate a damage boost for every consecutive hit with a melee weapon. Really, I encourage you to read the new perks in the creation page, but understand that this mod is definitely not just limited to the new perks. The entire perk chart has changed. All of the changes make it so that you really need to think about your early game build, and you are heavily rewarded for over-investing into a particular build. So is Livelier Perks worth the money? I don't know, bro. Is the sky blue? Is water wet? Yes, it's worth the 600 credits price tag. It breathes brand new life into the game, and in fact, I'd say if there was one creation you'd need, it's this one. You might be thinking, oh, but I can just use one of the other free perk overhauls. Okay, go ahead, no one is stopping you, but don't expect it to be fully fleshed out like Livelier Perks is. I promise it's that good. Okay, and this is the last one I'll cover for today. I'm still making my way through the other creations and determining what's worth buying and what's better off seeking an alternative for. Meanwhile, Ghoulification's only real alternative is a cosmetic Ghoulification mod from Grilled Turkey. Ghoulification costs 500 credits or $5 US, and it gives you the ability to not only become a ghoul, it also gives you brand new ghoul gameplay mechanics, UI integration with HUD framework, exclusive ghoul character creation options, and it's all highly configurable. To become ghoulified, you need to visit the Diamond City Bounty Board beside Moe's shop and pick up a note asking you to clear out the East Boston Radiotherapy Clinic. Once you're inside, you'll have to fight your way through some ghouls, check some terminals, fight a boss, and finally you'll get to an experimental drug that turns you into a ghoul. From there, it's a matter of customizing your new ghoulified form and then getting loosed back out onto the wasteland. Some of the new mechanics this mod brings are awesome. You want to be showered in radiation whenever possible, since radiation now heals you, and that radiation also gets converted into glow, which can reduce incoming damage up to a maximum of 25%. A really fun item to have on hand for this is the Gamma Gun. Just shoot it at your feet for a quick self-heal and a refill on your glow. Next, feral mechanics have been worked in. Kind of like how Dying Light has a beast mode where you temporarily become a viral and shred everything in your path, feral does effectively the same thing. As a ghoul, you don't have to eat or drink, so instead, you have to manage your sanity. Your sanity meter will drain at the same rate as either hunger or thirst would in survival mode, which is actually a really good thing for melee enthusiasts because going feral means you are so much more effective with melee weapons while also being absolutely terrible with ranged weapons. Additionally, going feral lets you pull off this really cool auto kill animation. However, as a ghoul, you'll face discrimination from the different factions of the Wasteland. Basically, don't bother approaching the Brotherhood of Steel or Diamond City without a disguise, which can be an outfit that covers your head, face, hands, arms, legs, and torso, or you can use one of the dedicated ghoul disguises that you can craft at a chemistry workbench. The creation also has integrations with survival mode if that's your thing, and feral ghouls are going to be friendly to you while you're in feral mode. Is Ghoulification worth it? I'll put it to you this way. If you can only get 2 creations, get this one and Livelier Perks. You don't have to use them together, but they are both absolutely must-buys. Alright, that about covers it for now. I'm still working through the rest of the creations and forming my opinions, but so far I'm really liking what I'm seeing. I'm sure I'll find a creation or two that I think is absolutely not worth the money, but we've yet to see that. What about you? Have you played any so far? And if you have, which ones have you played? As always, leave me your thoughts and opinions in the comments or join the Discord server from the description. I love having these conversations with you guys, and I want to have them more often. Consider subscribing if you're new and you want to see more creations and mod coverage. That's right. You don't have to worry, I'm still going to be covering free mods on this channel. That definitely isn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon, and I'm probably working on Best of November as we speak. Also, I've got shirts and sweaters. Check the store links for the first ever SnailOXD merch if that's something you want to pay for, but you can always just like the video if you prefer a free alternative instead. Peace, dudes.
On the rock. 69. On the Rocket 69. Rocket 69, Rocket 69.